Hello everyone, welcome to the session. So, my name is Srinivas Ganji, Assistant Professor of Physics, NG College, Nalgonda. So, today we are going to start Chapter 4 Central Forces. Okay, so in which we know that what are the fundamental forces actually? See, there in the universe there are few fundamental forces. They are nuclear forces, weak interaction forces, electromagnetic forces and gravitational forces. See there, four fundamental forces: nuclear forces, weak interaction forces, electromagnetic forces, and gravitational forces. Okay, let us see one by one. Nuclear forces. What type of forces are called nuclear forces? Where they exist? See there, these forces are exist in nucleus. So we know that every object or body is designed is composition of small atoms, right? Molecules are composed by the atoms, and every atom contain nucleus, right? Every atom contain nucleus is nothing but positively charged core of the atom is called nucleus, simply we can say, right? So the forces exist in the nucleus. So where does these force exist within the nucleus? See there, here these forces acting between nucleons. What are called nucleons? Protons and neutrons are called nucleons, right? Now, where these forces exist? See, these nuclear forces exist between proton neutron, and neutron neutron. See there, proton proton, proton neutron, and neutron neutron. You know that protons are positively charged particles, neutrons are neutral particles. If they are neutral particles, even though there exists attractive force between them, right? So then, so why there is a attractive force between proton and proton? We know that according to Coulomb's law, like particles repels each other. We know very well. But here, proton and proton both are like particles, but there exists attractive nuclear force. Why so it happened? Okay, and the second thing is, due to the nuclear forces, protons and neutrons are strongly bound inside the nucleus. Okay, due to the nuclear forces, protons and neutrons are strongly bound inside the nucleus. Therefore, the nucleus is highly stable. We know that nucleus is strong and highly stable. It has binding energy. Okay. These forces are always attractive and short range forces. See, these forces are always attractive. Nuclear forces are always attractive, but you must remember they are short range forces. Nuclear forces are short range forces up to 10 to the power minus 14 centimeters. Okay, and these forces are non-central forces. You must remember these forces are non-central forces. Next one, weak interaction forces. So weak interaction forces arise during the nuclear reaction. This one also non-central force. Here weak interaction forces arising during the nuclear reactions. We know that there exist very light elementary particles like electrons, leptons, muons and neutrons within the atom. Neutrino. The forces acting between the two elementary particles are very weak. Such type of forces are called weak interaction forces. Now, electromagnetic forces. What forces are called electromagnetic force? See there, Electromagnetic forces arise due to the charged particles of the matter. Due to the electromagnetic forces, electrons revolving around the nucleus, we know very well, electrons are revolving around the nucleus. Okay, two atoms bind one another mutually. You know that two atoms bind one another mutually. The material properties like elasticity, viscosity, surface tension are arise due to the electromagnetic forces. These forces are attractive and repulsive in nature. See, electromagnetic forces are attractive forces and repulsive forces. For example, if you take two electrons, they are negatively charged particles. There exists electrostatic repulsive force. Okay. If you take one proton and one neutron, what type of force exists between them? Attractive force, because they are unlike charged particles. Okay. Next, let us see gravitational forces. What forces are called gravitational forces? These are always attractive forces. We know that every object on the earth, on the universe, is attracted by the another object, right? So these forces act between two bodies in the universe, that may be two planets or that may be two bodies on the earth. Okay, due to these forces, two bodies attracted by one another. These forces are always attractive forces. Among all the forces, these are weak forces and long range forces. We know that there is an influence of gravitational force on the earth of moon, and and also sun's gravitational force. Only we are revolving around the sun. Okay, next. So central forces, what type of forces are called central forces? See there the definition. If the force is either directed towards, if the force is either directed towards or directed away from a fixed point. See there, if the force is directed towards or away from the fixed point and its magnitude depends on the radius vector. If the magnitude of forces depends on the radius vector, such forces are called central forces. Examples are gravitational forces, electrostatic forces, and elastic forces. So these three types of forces are called central forces. Let us see one by one what is gravitational force, what is the formula for gravitational force, and again we have to see electrostatic force, again we have to see elastic forces one by one. So, what forces are called central forces? So, central force. If force is directed toward or away from a fixed point, if force is away, if force is either directed towards or away or directed away from a fixed point and its magnitude depends on the radius vector, such forces are called central forces. Okay, now here we take polar coordinates here using rather than Cartesian coordinates. Let us take polar coordinates here. Let us assume xy axis. Here it is x axis, y axis. Now here a particle P moving under the influence of central force. Let us assume, here I am assuming particle P which is moving under the influence of central force away from the fixed point. Okay, away from the fixed point here, away from the fixed point which is moving, right? Here we take force is acting outwards direction, away, which is directed away from the fixed point. Now the radius vector, now it is making angle theta with the x-axis, and whose radius vector can be represented by r bar. Okay, where OP bar equal to r bar. See there the position vector according to the Cartesian coordinates. According to the Cartesian coordinates, according to the Cartesian coordinates, according to the Cartesian coordinates, so OP bar can be written as OP bar is equal to R bar, where P is lies in the XY plane. That is why we have to write xi cap plus yj cap. Okay, xi cap plus yj cap. In the frame of polar coordinate, the position vector can be written as. So according to polar coordinates, according to polar coordinates, here radius vector OB bar can be written as OP bar equal to R bar equal to R into R cap, R into R cap. So OP bar equal to R bar equal to R into R cap. This is what according to polar coordinates, then the radius vector can be written as R dot R cap, R dot R cap. Now where R cap is unit vector, unit radius vector in OP direction, therefore central force in polar coordinates can be written as central force in polar coordinates written as F bar is equal to F of R into R cap. F bar is equal to F of R into R cap. Central force in polar coordinates. Central force in polar coordinates can be written as F bar is equal to F of R into R cap. F bar is equal to F of R into R cap. Central force in polar coordinates can be written as F bar equal to F of R into R cap. Now here the central force is split into different types. One is gravitational force, is also one type of central force. Gravitational force. So one force is gravitational force. And the second one is electrostatic force. And the third one is elastic forces. So let us see one by one. What is gravitational force, what is electrostatic force, and what is elastic force here. Okay, let us see. First one is gravitational force. Gravitational force. See here, gravitational force exists between the two objects in the universe. So here let us assume mass of the objects can be, let us assume two masses here. This is one mass and this is one mass, and mass of first object is capital M and mass of second object is small m. Now the gravitational force acting between these two masses is directly proportional to F is the force acting, the gravitational force acting between these two masses is proportional to product of these masses, and which is inversely proportional to the square of distance between them, then F is inversely proportional to r square. So from these two equations we'll get F is directly proportional to capital M small m by r square. F is directly proportional to capital M and small m by r square. Here if we remove the proportionality constant, what we get? F is equal to, if we remove the constant proportionality, we'll get constant capital G, capital M and small m by r square, where capital G is called the universal gravitational constant. Capital G is called universal gravitational constant. The value of this one is capital G is equal 6.67 into 10 to the power of minus 11 Newton meter square per kg square. So the value of gravitational constant is capital G equal to 6.67 into 10 to the power of minus 11 Newton meter square per kg square. So now this can also be written as in vector form. So F bar equal to capital G, capital M and small m by r square into r cap. So vector form of this force between the two objects, gravitational force. So this is the equation for gravitational force. Let us move to the another force, electrostatic force. Here let us see how can we define electrostatic force, a force acting between the two charges. Here let us see electrostatic force. Here second one, electrostatic force. Where this force exists? This force exists between the charged particles. Okay, let us assume there exist two charged particles represented by q1 and q2. I am assuming two charges q1 and q2 which are displaced r distance. The distance between them is small r. Now the electrostatic force acting between the two charges is directly proportional to, F is directly proportional to q1 and q2. That means F is directly proportional to product of charges q1 q2 and F is inversely proportional to square of the distance between them. Therefore we'll write F is inversely proportional to r square. That can be written as F is directly proportional to 1 by r square. So from these two equations what we get? F is directly proportional to q1 q2 by r square, and if remove the proportionality constant we'll get F is equal to one constant will get k into q1 q2 by r square. This constant can also be written as k is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q1 q2 by r square. This is what force acting between the two charges. See there, if the charges are like particles, if the charges are like particles, if the particles having same charge, if the particles are like particles, if the charges are like particles, the force between them is repel. So there exists repulsive force between them, repulsive force between the charges. If the particles are unlike, if the charges are unlike, then there exists attractive force between them. Attractive force between the charges. If the like charges, there exists repulsive force. If the unlike charges, there exists attractive force between them. Then this is a force acting between the two charges in vacuums. That is why we take there epsilon naught. Epsilon naught is permittivity of free space. If we take any medium, then the force acting between the two charges can be written as F is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon q1 q2 by r square, where epsilon can be written as epsilon into k, permittivity of the medium. Okay, so this is the force acting between the two charges, that is what electrostatic force. Now again let us see what is elastic forces. The third one is elastic forces. Elastic forces. Elastic forces. Let the elastic force acting on the mass attached to spring is proportional to the distance of mass from the unstretched position of the spring. See there, the elastic force acting, the elastic force here I am taking the elastic force here, what I am taking, so for this is mass m, the elastic force acting on the mass attached to the spring is proportional to the distance of the mass from the unstretched position of the spring. So here you take unstretched position of the spring, here we take the F is directly proportional to x. If you remove the proportionality constant, we will get F is equal to minus kx, where k is called spring constant. Spring constant. So this is what elastic force. Okay, this is one type of force, elastic force, which is acting on the mass attached to the spring proportional to the distance of mass from the unstretched position of the spring. Okay, these are the three types of forces, which are central forces, gravitational force, and electrostatic force, and elastic forces. Now let us see characteristics of central forces. What are the characteristics of central forces? Let us see one by one. So first one is conservative nature of central forces. Conservative. Central forces are conservative. Central forces are conservative. Let us see how they conservative. Now let us see central forces are conservative or not. Central forces are conservative or not. Let us verify this one. Central forces are conservative or not. Let us see. So what type of forces are called conservative forces? Let us, when a force makes the particle move from one point to another point, it has to do some work. See, there's the work done by force. Let us assume a body is moving from, here is one body which is moving from A to B, this direction, A to B. Another body also moving from, this is one path I am assuming, this body is moving from A to B in the second path, right. Now the work done by force, which depends on the positions of this object, not on the path, so such forces are called conservative forces. See there, the work done by forces which depend on the position of the objects or bodies, which doesn't depend upon the paths, are called conservative forces or conservative forces. That means conservative forces will depend only on the positions of the object, not on the path followed by it. So in this case, according to laws of vector, the force is conservative only when it is irrotational. See, when it is irrotational, then only force is conservative. That means we'll get a del cross F equal to 0. Okay, del cross F is equal to 0. That is what? Irrotational. The curl of irrotational vector is 0. The curl of irrotational vector is 0. Now let us see here. Central force. How can we represent central force? Central force is represented by, already have seen, F bar is equal to F of R into R cap, where R cap is the unit vector direction of that central force. Okay, now let us take curl on both sides. So now del bar cross F bar equal to del bar cross F of R into R cap. Okay, now see here, let us see one formula here. You must remember del bar cross pi into a bar. Okay, pi into a bar. So applying this formula, what we get here? Del bar pi cross a bar. Okay, now plus pi into del bar cross a bar. Okay, so this is the formula. Okay, this is the formula. Let us apply formula to above equation on right side. So what we get here, if you apply this one, del bar cross F bar equal to, apply this formula to here, then what we get here, del bar F of R cross R cap, and plus here what we get here, let us write F of R outside and we'll get del bar cross R cap unit vector. Okay, and see here, one more thing. Here what we get here, del bar cross F of R can also be written as F dash R by R into R cap. F dash R by R into R cap, and substitute here in this term, then what we get, that equal to F dash R by R bar into R cap cross R cap, and plus F of R into del bar cross R cap. So here if you see R cap R cap equal to 0, we know that I cross I equal to 0, and here curl of divergence of unit vector also will become 0, and finally the total one is 0, and finally curl of central force is 0. So it means therefore central forces are irrotational and they are conservative. Central forces are irrotational and they are conservative. So in this way we prove that central forces are conservative in nature. Again we have to see conservation of angular momentum. We prove that conservation of angular momentum. We know that. Let us see how can we prove that one also. Okay, let us see conservation of angular momentum. So when the angular momentum is conserved, if there is no external force acting on the rotating body, whose angular momentum remains constant. That means this is known as law of conservation of angular momentum. Let us take, when a body is rotating about an axis, now the torque acting on it. If the body is rotating about an axis, let us take an axis. If the body is rotating about this axis, now the torque acting on the body can be written as tau is equal to R cross F. Tau is equal to r cross f, r bar cross f bar. Okay, so again here how can we write f bar according to central forces? Central forces in polar coordinates, how can we write f of r? F of r can be written as small f of r into r cap, unit vector. Okay, now so again here vector, radius vector r bar can also be written as r into r cap, r into r cap. So let us assume this is equation 1 and this is 2 and this is equation 3. Okay, now substitute 2 and 3 in equation 1. Substitute 2 and 3 in equation 1. So finally what we get if we substitute these two equations in above one, in equation 1 we'll get r dot r cap cross f of r dot r cap. We know that r and f of r constant terms, right outside r into f of r will get r cap r goes to 0. We know that since r cap r is 0 and torque acting on the rotating body is 0. Okay, so now we know that tau can be defined as rate of change of angular momentum. Tau is equal to dl by dt, so that equal to 0 already we got here, dl by dt equal to 0. So if we equate to 0, then dl by dt equal to 0, and integrating on both sides will get l equal to constant. From this equation we will get l equal to constant. Therefore we can say that here, therefore, for a particle rotating about an axis due to the central forces, see there, for a particle rotating about an axis due to the central force, the angular momentum is constant both in its direction and dimension. This is called conservation of angular momentum. See there once again, if a particle rotating in about an axis under the influence of central force, the angular momentum is constant both in direction and dimension. This is called conservation of angular momentum. Okay, so tomorrow onwards we'll see, in the next class we are going to see central force is equal to negative gradient of potential energy, and a few other topics we are going to see in the next class. Okay, thank you. So this is our requirement. Thank you very much.